Hola, welcome. Good evening. Buenas noches. It's late-ish. I'm Don. I'm up. Hi. I think that was out of order. Anyways, I'm out of my sorts because we're slightly early tonight because we have a very special guest for once, and that's why we're starting on time. We're going to have our friend, the horror cat dad, beloved member of the horror community, and awesome friend and contributor to this channel. I apologize to those of you who are used to me being here at 1 a.m. or whatever. We'll go a little early tonight. You can watch the replay. Daddy will be there for you late. So as I was saying, we're gonna have a little company tonight to watch Aliens, this comfort food movie. We're gonna have our friend Larry. Welcome, Larry. Glad to have you here. You are long time no see. We just saw you Friday for In the House.
Episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4 haven't been canceled yet.
Yeah.
How are you doing today, sir?
Good. Just getting my normal stuff done on a Sunday. Hanging out with the cats a little bit. I had one laying on me for a good almost 30 minutes. So
Quality time with the cats. It's important.
yeah,
Yeah, this past week I've been doing movies that are like I keep calling them comfort food. They're essentially just like movies that feel like something I know that I no matter how many times I see them, I always like them. If I'm like I'm in a bad mood, I need to watch blank.
hmm
So when I decided that Aliens would be on this round of batch of comfort food, I felt like if I didn't have you come on for it, like you would have a right to be pissed at me. So So
no,
it'd be like if I did Creature from the Black Lagoon and I didn't invite you. I'd be like, I'd expect a nasty Instagram message like, dude, what's up? So,
no, man. I mean, I totally understand. It's all good. No, yeah, I've been watching the replays of your comfort food series, and it's a lot of good stuff, man. I mean, you did RoboCop. I mean, I love that. I love that friggin' movie, man. I can watch it over and over again. You
that's
did. Go ahead. Go ahead.
what I was gonna say. All these movies, that's the thing. That's just that seeing them feels like, like I keep calling them a warm blanket or sweatpants or something. It's like, oh, I'm just going to put on Roadhouse and be comfortable.
Yep. Tight pants and kicks and Kentucky waterfalls. I love it.
And also, you and I have done Predator 1 and 2, and eventually we're going to have to move into, well, I should say Predators, sorry.
Yep.
We're going to have to eventually move into the other Predator movies, and eventually the Alien versus Predator movies. So I thought we would just get an early start on these Alien flicks right now. You know what I mean? We can go back and do Alien 1 at some other point, but Aliens is the one that really, it comforts me because it's everything I need. It's horror and it's action and it's got like this kind of sweet theme of Sigourney Weaver like recapturing her motherhood that was lost, like all this stuff it's a beautiful film, but it's also a wild film. And Bill Paxton is amazing.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, we
he's great.
this movie's got so much to talk about. Yeah, um but I see we're 2 minutes away from 8:05. I think that's a perfect time to start. Um, I see some folks are now filing into the chat and showing up to hang out with us for a little bit here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit earlier than I'm on, but we were talking to have special guests sometimes, like Larry. We got to do things like make sure we're on a little bit earlier to accommodate work schedules. Real life gets in the way, man. So, so if we want awesome guests, we have to be on a little bit early sometimes, guys. So,
Make me feel bad, man. It's like
oh no way! Don't you ever feel bad? That's what I'm saying. You're a special guest. That's why we're making a special adjustment for you. The idea of you trying to, unless you want to watch this at work with us, like at 4 a.m. Oh, oh, Brittany is here. Hi, Brittany. Welcome. Brittany's been joining us for the streams the last few nights. It's been nice to have her. Trashed Marty is here.
hey
Hey,
Marty, how's it
Joy.
going?
Nice to see you, our friend. Glad you're here. Yeah, no, we're glad to have you. Last time when we had you on for a little bit earlier, and we did Predators 2. That one
Getting
was a
back.
massive hit. So people love it. So no, we gotta make sure as many streams with Larry as possible. I told you
No, I
you're a
was saying
views
thank you.
juggernaut. You're a views juggernaut, Larry. Give you back.
It's a beard, man. No, Yeah, man. It's when was the first time you saw this movie? Do you remember?
Um, yeah, this one was probably I didn't see it in the theater. I remember with the sequel to Alien directed by the Terminator guy was a big deal. Like people were talking about like, oh, you know, it's awesome. And then when it came on cable, and actually I think it might have been VCR first, VHS, the video store. Um, and then yeah, cable classic. It was one that was on over and over again. And then when you put it on at any point, you can just, it's like Goodfellas or one of those classics where you can just jump in no matter what. Like oh
Hmm.
heck, we're at the scene where they're using the little radar to see the xenomorphs in the ceiling and they're getting closer and closer and they can't figure it out. All that stuff is just great. What about you? When was your first time?
Oh, I know it like the back of my hand, and for the longest time, I thought when I saw this, I thought I was like it was like a Mandela effect sort of thing because I originally saw this first on Laserdisc.
Oh wow.
A family member of mine who at the time was living in the city that I live now. So I live somewhere else. I live like far from where I lived now, and I stayed over. We're like vacationing, and they put it on one night, and I didn't know what I was completely terrified. But I remember certain scenes, like the scenes where the sentry guns scene.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So for the longest time, like when I actually saw this movie again as I got older, I'm like, what? It's like, where's it? Am I remembering wrong as a kid that I remember this scene with the sentry guns and all this stuff? And so apparently later on they released the director's cut, then I was like, oh, there it is. It's like it was just cut and it was in the laser disc version. So
Hmm.
that was my first experience was like that, and I was completely like scared out of my mind like watching it when I was that young.
Well, we'll get started here in a second, and when there's a lot to talk about with this movie, but there's just from the idea itself, just to have a movie that's like an action movie follow up to a horror movie, it makes so much sense. Like I don't like a lot of the later Friday the 13th movies, but one of the things that starts showing up in them is that people know Jason is a problem at this point, and they're like the police are in on it, or some sort of Jason hunter is in on it, right? Like, but in the
Hmm.
early movies, it's like, oh, people got murdered last summer. Let's go skinny dipping. You
Yeah.
know, the people in the movie are dumb as hell. So in this, when you see Alien, and it's like the ultimate haunted house movie because it's a haunted house floating in space, you can't get out. You're stuck
Mhm.
there, you know? So it's the ultimate haunted house movie, and there's this monster. So how do we follow up this monster movie? It's like, we'll send the Marines to kill the monster. Like no other movies are that smart. Like you would send the Marines to go kill Michael Myers, or the Marines would have had to go have a talk with Pinhead by now. You know, like, you got to try these things. So the idea that this takes a practical approach and then it turns it into this like crazy GI Joes in space thing, and you know that's all about superior firepower, and then that doesn't even work. So it's got like a real '80s Rambo thing to it, and
Hmm.
so much. You know, it's got Space Marines kicking ass, but Sigourney Weaver like being an adoptive mother to this foster child she found. You know, there's like it's there's so many themes and cool elements in it that could hold your attention. The Space Marines and the dynamic of them and how they interact. You feel like they know each other, even though some of them are new. And there's just so much going on in it that it's endlessly rewatchable. And this one has a ton of quotable lines,
Oh yeah.
more than most. Yeah. So, do you have yours queued up and ready to go?
Yeah, I'm at Fanfare Plays and then the HBO logo.
Okay,
That's where
that a
I'm at
boy.
right now.
I'll give mine the watch now. Press play. This is 2 hours and 18 minutes. Rated R. It's the description is Space Marines mount a mission to rescue a colony invaded by deadly creatures. I think that sums it up. Let's
Yeah,
start.
pretty much. All right.
Mm.
Your
Yep, I got
presentation.
fanfare plays too, but I forgot to press mute. All right, there we go. 20th Century Fox logo.
RIP.
Yeah, RIP, man. I think we just got hit for a copyright strike there. Never mind. Damn
It's just right now, it's just gonna like just shut down the stream. It's gonna cut.
They're in the room, man.
What are we gonna do?
This is James Cameron before he was James Cameron. Like now, James Cameron's a name brand, but he'd only really done Terminator and what, like Piranha or whatever the hell. What was the Piranha 2 or one of them? What did he do? He did some trash.
Yeah, didn't he do? He did some Corman stuff too. He did like effects for Roger Corman, didn't he?
Oh yeah. I'm talking about directing, but yeah, I believe I think he did. He worked for like Industrial Light and Magic, and he actually did like some of the special effects for Escape from New York and a bunch of other stuff. Let me see. For directing, his first film was Piranha 2. Nailed it.
There you go.
Piranha 2, The Spawning, and then he did The Terminator. And see, this is weird. They have him down for, excuse me. Oh, this is writer. Never mind. Hold on. Let me double check. Director. Yes. Piranha 2, Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, True Lies, Titanic, Avatar, well, Aliens of the Deep, Avatar, and then Avatar Way of Water. So that's a pretty damn impressive catalog.
So if you think about it, he hasn't really done too many films, right? Compared to like some of these other directors.
I would argue him and Tarantino are one of the only directors there are where every one of their movies are basically a hit or a success in some way. Like they keep their numbers small and each one is important. Like all the other big directors, Scorsese put out Kundun. When's the last time anybody watched Kundun? Same with Spielberg has a lot of hits, but he also has stuff that people don't like.
Yeah, I mean, did anybody watch that musical he did? Didn't he do like a musical or something?
Yeah, did he redo West Side Story?
There you go. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't see that.
Well, and then just like I never saw Real Player One, but just stuff like that. He has movies that aren't hits. Like everything isn't E.T., Close Encounters, and Jaws.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. A buddy of mine, the way I despise Double Dragon, he despises Ready Player One. Like he hates the movie.
Really?
He's like for any little thing, he's like, "Well, it's not Ready Player One bad." So I'll tell him like, so on a scale of Ready Player One and 10, what would you call it? And then he gets and I'll tell him, I was like, tell me what you really think. Oh man, no man, that movie's so bad. And it's just like he won't tell me, like he just tells me that it's just so
why.
Bad.
Yeah, he's just angry at it and for no real reason. But
well,
I heard
he read the book, so
I saw it. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I heard it doesn't line up with the book.
Right. Yeah, and that's why he was a big fan of the book, and that's really the main reason why he hates it. I mean, and I can understand that, I mean, there's people with the same thing with the Harry Potter books, Me personally, I didn't read them, but I thought the movies were good. I actually liked the movies when they started getting darker. But let's not talk about that. We're talking about
But let's not talk about that right now. Well, speaking of getting darker, we see the movie start. We saw credits in space, and now they're cutting into the side of the escape hatch that Sigourney Weaver was in. They're finding the frozen bodies. So this is basically resurrecting the first movie. How do we get these people back and tell the story we need to tell? Also, I see Marty is complimenting our friend Brittany on her podcast. I haven't checked out Brittany's podcast. I have to see that. Our friend Kal-El Daly is here. He says,
hello.
There we are. Hey, nice to see you, Mr. Superman, sir. Love the great Vietnam analogy from this. Hicks is having his backup weapon to the discipline issues or draftees to appropriate a company, IEC, a handler sent to Nam. Yeah, exactly. The Space Marines and what they provide like each, Paul Reiser and his whole thing, and then like the, corporate Marine, and then there's like the rogue Marines, and there's also the whole like gender Marine thing with Vasquez, and I can't remember the other one's name, but they just kick so much ass. There's like so many levels to the characters and what they got going on. It has, endless character study going on in the middle of a crazy action horror film.
Now, here's one thing I didn't notice before was when they were panning, when they showed Sigourney Weaver's face and it faded into like you see the Earth.
Yeah,
Mother
they did
Earth.
Yeah, it was really kind of cool.
I never noticed that before until right now, but it almost like, because I know this is supposed to be like, it's supposed to be like a mother trilogy or whatever, where she's like, she becomes like mother, she's like nurturing in part 2, and then part 3 is like, I don't know. Did you ever hear that theory or something like that?
Oh no, I've definitely noticed it for sure in this one and in part 3. Her whole journey with her being like a mothering character, like how in this one she learns that she was frozen for so long, and her daughter's gone or whatever, and all this stuff. So that's why when I say as soon as she finds Newt, you sort of understand that there's the whole like it rekindles the her mother instincts. And then there's the whole thing with her clashing up against the mother alien, laying all the eggs, and the two of them sort of look at each other and have like this protective mother moment. And yeah, we'll get to that at the end. But yeah, there's all these like just like real beautiful themes of motherhood and nurturing and caring for children and stuff. But it also, like I say, it's sandwiched in the middle of this kick-ass action movie with all these explosions and acid blood and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Chest bursters and
exactly. People's faces getting impregnated and just the movie's wild. Terminator 2, one of the greatest. Which terms? Terminator 1, very underrated. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I would say Terminator 1 is my favorite.
Cal says Ready Player One is awesome. You better be talking about the book.
The book, right?
Now, I haven't even seen Ready Player One. I saw it on TNT one night and got a look at it, but I didn't. I've never watched the whole thing through. I've heard other people explain what it's about. How the whole thing is advanced U.S. military force being defeated by a more primitive force and overconfidence and fighting on the Xeno's home turf, for sure. But like I said, it also is a good excuse to like what would be logically what would happen. Like if we had some sort of issue with aliens invading one part of us, the first thing we would do is send our badass fighters to try to take care of it.
Yeah, and that's just that plays on the whole like underestimating our enemy, thinking that there's we have the firepower, we can take them out, and like Marty said, it's just a primitive species that we just, that's what we see it as, but that's what beat us. I mean, it's really great, because if you think about it, that's another reason why I like Alien 3 so much, is because they don't have any weapons. They have to find a way to beat just one, and it's only one. This one, it's like endless hordes of them. And even going back to like when we saw Predator, it's the same thing. Like they were the ultimate badasses on the planet, and it was only one Predator, and Arnold had to revert back to being essentially like trying to figure a way to beat this thing without weapons, because he didn't have any weapons at the end. He had to use the old noggin.
That a boy. Yeah, exactly. The taking away the third one that ratchets up the tension, in my opinion. Third one's way underrated. A lot of people don't like it. I enjoy David Fincher and all his stuff, so it's hard for me to kind of rag on it. But in the first two movies, Ripley's friends with the crew, and then she's friends with the Marines. So the people she's around are allies. But in the third one, they take away all her allies. Like everybody there is kind of evil. So she's sort of on her own, and makes it even scary because like she's working against the aliens, but she doesn't have help. Like she's kind of leery of the people around her. And then, like you say, they take away all weapons, and they're completely isolated from everybody. Like no one's coming to help. Even in this one, when they go off the map, I think at one point they're like, how long before they send a rescue squad? And dude's like 17 days. So, that's another movie you could have made, is them trying to survive for 17 days till help came. You can take that in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was hard while we were talking. while we were talking there about Vietnam, they were showing Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton. And if there's any two faces that are going to distract me from anything, it's them. Sorry, man. Yaphet Kotto's on. I can't talk to you.
The guy from Running Man?
Yeah, exactly. Yaphet Kotto.
But it could have been worse. Could have been like, oh, the guy from Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare?
Don't say that. Juno will get mad at us.
It's like his Juno sense is like tingling right now.
It pops up. Hey, I heard that. Speaking of Juno, right now, our friend Sean is over, who frequently collaborates with Juno on his channel. Sean and the Hatchet Boys are watching Demons 1 and 2 over on the Hatchet Boys channel. In general, we generally, I'm up late, so nobody else is else streaming. So right now, unfortunately, our friends are having a stream that we're upset we can't be at. But I'll maybe drop it. We're gonna maybe try to get in there after here, or otherwise, I do encourage you at any point, if you're shopping around for other stuff to watch besides me, be sure to put on them and then come back to here too. I like that they have the sort of corporate meeting about the aliens and how we're gonna handle it. You know, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think it's more of the fact that like they want to know why she blew up their like huge, was it millions of dollars worth facility and payload and stuff. I think that's more of like they really don't care about what she went through. She just they want answers about her, why she blew up their stuff. That's
that's kind of what I mean, is that the first thing she kind of has to deal with out of coming out of this horrible nightmare and then being in like cryo freeze, the first stuff she wakes up is like the corporate BS of like, what happened to the old ship? And then like these people are asking questions and figuring out how to like make money off it. And, you know, it seems like she would need to spend a month well, they did show her in the hospital, I guess, too. But yeah, it just seems like she would need to convalesce a little bit longer before she has to deal with this bureaucratic stuff.
Well, see, that's why, like, you talked about, like, you don't know how, you know, she should have been in the hospital for about a month. I mean, at this point, when you see her right now in her, like, in her little, like, I guess, pod or her apartment, I mean, it's, you know, kind of messed up and dirty. So you would think it's been a while, you know, that she's, you know, that she's been at this place, at this apartment. Because even then, she has her hair cut already. You know, she's kind of like doing her own thing or whatever. And even Gorman, not Gorman, Paul Reiser's character, Burke, he talks about like, oh yeah, I read your second, you know, evaluation. So she's been seeing a therapist, I would imagine, or she had to get checked out for psychiatric stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever noticed like the depth in this scene. Like I remember her being, I always just thought she was still on the same ship even, like, and it looks like, no, she's moved into some sort of apartment. And it's even kind of crappy. Like when they're walking down the hallway, there's like trash on the floor of whatever futuristic area they're in. So then, yeah, you can see, like you say, in her apartment, she's been living there for a while. She's got like food boxes and magazines and stuff. People magazine still exists in the future.
Well, just like a Blade Runner, Atari still is around in Blade Runner.
Well, that was cutting edge technology back then. Nobody could imagine anything deeper than Atari.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about this. I thought they just went and visited her, like, you know, she was still on the ship on the way back to Earth after they found her. It's like, no, it looks like she's pretty much got like a spot and she's been settled into this sort of like half hellhole.
But as long as she has her cat, right? That's all that matters.
Yeah. Is that what, Jones? Is that his name?
Jonesy.
Yeah.
We're watching the theatrical Marty. That's the one that we're checking out.
I apologize. I was going to give, first of all, people, we're on Max is where we're both watching it. It only does the countdown. So the current countdown is 2:02:22. So that ought to be easy enough for you. They're trying to recruit Sigourney back to go into space to handle this. This is where they're talking about the psych evaluation, like you said. Russell is here. Hey, Don, Larry, and fam, just finished live watch party for the watch. Hey, nice to see you. Let's see here. Yes, I'm on both drip in. That boy. Drop in. Gotcha. Or drip in. I don't know. Which cut you're watching, the extended or theatrical? Yeah, I would assume this has got to be theatrical, right? On Max.
Yeah, we would have seen like the picture of her daughter, and they would have like shown that she had passed and stuff like that.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I was wondering why I hadn't really run into the whole stuff with her daughter yet. Watching Demons 1 and 2 right now. Brittany says she's on Max as well. Yeah, so that's the one.
So let me ask you this: is like, which is your? Oh, here you go. Let me extended version. Yeah. See, that's what I was talking about. I don't know if Marty caught that part of my story when I first saw it. I first saw it on Laserdisc, Marty, and so for me as a kid, I always remembered that sentry gun scene. And then as I got older and I would watch it, more often, I'm like, where's that scene? Am I just not remembering? And then director's cut came out, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's why it was.
See, I'm thinking. I remember the sentry gun scene that you're talking about, and the stuff. Well, here's where she looks up her daughter, but I remember the sentry gun stuff you're talking about from seeing it when I was young as well. But I never saw it on Laserdisc, so I'm wondering if maybe like one of the original VHS was or was the director's or something. Because yeah, I have seen that stuff, but I may be conflating it in my mind with the the extended edition on disc or whatever. Like I had that Alien Quadrilogy DVD set, and I watched the hell out of mainly 2 and 3 the most.
I wanted to get that, but I only since I was younger, I couldn't afford it. I only got how they sold them separately too, right?
Yeah, the individual ones, without the box.
Yeah, so I just bought Aliens. I bought that one, but then later on, I got that anthology set that has like Alien to Resurrection, and the Blu-ray one. I don't know if you've seen that one. And it has both cuts of like all the films.
Yeah, I haven't seen that box set. I was distracted by both the cryo freeze of the Space Marines in conjunction with the arrival of our friends Lady J. Ghoul and Pat Master Nate. So
hey guys, hey Nate, how's it going?
I love when these two travel in packs. Hello, Captain.
Hey, how's it going,
guys? Let's see here. Marty says Cameron called the extended cut 40 miles of bad road that needed to be seen. It was extended on VHS in 1991, I think. There you go. I think they used a TV version to fit more commercials on it. That's probably where I saw it. They used it in a TV version to fit more commercials, because I was going to say, I think perhaps when I watched it like on TNT or TBS, because those scenes specifically jump out to me, and I know that I've seen them. When you describe them right away, I can remember the way they looked. So, like I say, maybe it's possible I've just watched the extended cut on disc so many times my brain has just added them in there now, but man says I was like number 13. Hi everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
She'll be back in a little bit. She has to put her little one to bed. So yeah, it is
totally understandable.
Here.
See, let me ask you this.
This is our first introduction to the Space Marines. I love this part. This is great.
Especially when Bill Paxton, man.
Yeah. Bill Paxton's like, I don't know, Christmas or something. Like as soon as I see him, I smile. Like I can't be in a bad mood around that time. It's like, oh, Bill Paxton, you just make everything better. There's Vasquez badass doing pull-ups 5 minutes after waking up.
Right? She's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been let's just say right now, you ever been mistaken for a man? No? Have you?
No, you.
See, it's not until later on that I noticed that Bill Paxton actually has that tattoo on his chest.
Yeah, he's got like a rosary or something. I saw that. Yeah, like a.
Like I never noticed it back when like the VHS era, but like once I started seeing it like on DVD and Blu-ray, it's like real prominent. You can see it a lot more. I was like, oh, I never noticed that.
I like the sort of implied relationship between those two, Vasquez and what's his name, the blonde guy,
Drake.
um, Drake. Yeah, it makes me feel like we know they've had, they took a weekend off together or something. Like their
Mm-hmm.
relationship appears to be like they're a bit closer than normal, but they're also still being professional about being Marines.
Mm-hmm. Cornbread, I think.
But this is all good stuff because it still shows the military is the military. Like it's not like
Mm-hmm.
all gourmet food and they're still with the green, arm fatigues and all that. They've all still got dog tags.
Mm-hmm. Like it's still like uniform and stuff like that. It's still like this,
I
Oh,
actually
there we go.
saw this before Alien. I'd seen maybe Alien when I was a kid, but I didn't really absorb it. Like, I wasn't old enough to know it, So when I saw this, I didn't totally understand the bishop hand thing with the blood and all that. So, because like, what do you mean this dude's got like this weird creamy hand, blood? I think this is the first time I ever saw a mobbly peg or whatever you call this.
Wasn't funny, man. His
Look at
his
that.
facial his facial expressions is just great, man.
Still selling the freaked out look. Yeah. Yeah. Like here, when you see that he missed a little bit and nicked his finger. And I never understood until later on,
Mm-hmm.
obviously as the movie goes on, you kind of figure out what's going on. But Lance Henriksen had been in enough stuff for me at this point that it was weird to think of him as anything other than like an important character.
Right. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, even and I was the same way. Like when I saw the I guess milk or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he nicked himself. I thought it was just something that he was just like, it's just tasting something. I never realized until later. Once you hear that line, when I heard it later on, where he's like, "I thought you never missed, Bishop," and then that's when I realized, oh, he actually did. He did nick himself. But I think it's just one of those like throwaway lines that you don't really like think about it, when you're younger or you don't understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I see now I do remember that they're going into this whole explanation of how he's like, some of the other models did malfunction, and then the scene where in the first one where dude gets ripped apart and the blood, the white milk stuff goes everywhere, and you kind of see his robot intestines and all that. Like that scene kind of
Hmm.
became iconic in the gross out world.
Well,
Awesome
it's
matte
interesting.
painting.
Yeah. Well, even that other scene where you see the cryo tubes,
Mhm.
half of that is like matte painting too.
Yeah, a
So
lot
that's
of
how
this looks like
that's
a
how they
way bigger world than it is because of the matte paintings.
And then, speaking of like the synthetics, what's interesting is that they say that oh, they used to be twitchy and they used to malfunction. Well, I mean, if you think about it, coming from Alien, right? Ridley Scott did Blade Runner. Same thing with Blade Runner, where the Nexus they would go rogue and stuff like that. So it's I don't know, just interesting that kind of that sort of like parallel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I never really connected that before. That does make sense with the Blade Runner stuff. Our friend Russell says that we Sean did the same as we did, and then gave a shout out to our chat over there. So I appreciate that in spirit. Brittany said she loves Bill Paxton. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's always a hit. Like in every movie he's in, even when he just turns up for little quick seconds, like Spy Kids movies and stuff. It's just like Bill Paxton's here, awesome. Um, I love the fact in 57 years, Ripley has lost the humans, discovered other species. That's why Hudson says, "What fucking do?" I'm impressed. The idea of aliens isn't a big deal to them. Yeah, well, especially the Space Marines. They're probably going around kicking ass. They got that Starship Troopers gig. I
Hmm.
love Bill Paxton and Near Dark. Yeah, I mentioned that's one of the only movies that's like I really want to see that I haven't seen. I need to track that one down. I may have to actually. I think it's on Shutter. I might have to get Shutter just to watch Near Dark. Sarah Campbell's here. Hey,
Hey, Sarah.
nice to see you. Glad to have you here. Um, Yeah, like when they're kind of being, just silly Marines and they're goofing around, and then she sort of cuts the shit, and everybody realizes, oh yeah, we got to take this seriously. There are some crazy monsters out there.
Yeah, it's just I think they, like I said, they're underestimating, oh, it's another bug hunt or whatever. And then, like when she's like, no, like you need to listen. When she gets like in Vasquez's face, because it really, if you look at all these Marines, they're like, oh, you don't want to mess with Vasquez, right? But this
Mm,
person who just came in out of nowhere, that they're just like, she's just some like civilian. Like for her to get in her face and be like, I hope you're right.
yeah, that's
Like
a good point. Like if there was anybody to prove that assert your dominance on, it's Vasquez. It's um, she's the only one who won't take any shit.
mhm.
But I like that they Cameron brings back Michael Biehn or Bane or however you say that from Terminator.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, because it was originally going to be James Remar.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they ended up James Remar got in a little trouble while they were filming, so literally,
That's
like they had to get like he was like a last minute, and he came in and he did it, man. Because it was literally like one day to the next, like he was on the plane and then he went out to England to shoot.
Well, we had kind of talked about this on some other streams. I think in particular the Roadhouse stream, I had a bit of a rant about it. But some actors in their faces, they look like either villains or good guys. And I think Michael Biehn always kind of looks like a good guy, as where James Remar always looks like a bad guy to me. Like I have trouble imagining him as what is Hicks
Yeah.
or yeah.
That's another reason why, like, if you look at when Hicks gets his armor put on and everything, like right before when they're getting ready to drop down, his armor is a little bit bigger because it's sized for Remar.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
And then yeah, but I know what you mean. Like James Remar, he's like one of the he was in Demolition Man for that short period of time at the beginning where he's like one of the gang members or whatever.
And he's isn't he in the Warriors?
Hmm.
Like in the Warriors, I always find him to be the most like unlikable of the Warriors. And then um, is he the bad guy in 48 Hours? I think.
Is he?
Um, I
It's been a
think
while since I've seen that one.
it's him and Sonny Landham. I think are the bad guys, which is a good bad guy duo. You know what I mean? Like if you owned a liquor store and Sonny Landham and James Remar walked in, like it's like oh.
And then Vernon Wells is like driving the getaway car.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be like the ultimate like villain film.
I just like open up the register drawer and just try to hold it through the little bulletproof glass thing. Just please take what you need and get out. I like that there's a handful of these Marines that we don't know. Like I
Mhm.
see a couple lurking around in the background. I'm assuming they just isn't that one dude? I think he stays on the ship later on, and then when they do the landing, I think because the woman is the pilot, right? The one that later on gets attacked. Yeah,
Mhm.
there she is.
Yeah, so the guy in the background, like he's like just sitting, or he's chilling with Bishop, I think.
Yeah,
And then he goes up to like go pick up these guys, and
yeah.
that's when he gets messed up. But it's kind of cool. It's like I like that they build the tension and they don't show him getting killed. You like she's just like, oh, Spunkmeyer, and then all of a sudden, like, it's just there, with her. Like he essentially he dies off screen.
Yeah. Man, this movie just inspired so many video games. Like
Oh,
a whole bunch of video games need to send money to the Aliens franchise. Because on paper, the concept of space marines sounds like some stuff an 8-year-old would come up with. Like they're like space marines and they got guns that explode, and then everybody that's super cool, they just kick everybody's ass. But they make this look so real in like the I don't know, the people are just so like it's all believable. I feel like there's a whole I would like to see space marine adventures that have nothing to do with xenomorphs.
Well, it's Starship Troopers.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I'm pretty sure that was called Starship Troopers. Except even then, that's just a ripoff of xenomorphs. It's
Yeah,
like, well, we can't get our hands on the rights to the face chest burster aliens, but we can have giant, I don't know, spiders and roaches or whatever those things are.
and that
The,
big beetle thing.
yeah, but the main ones with the legs, they kind of remind me of like crabs or something. I don't know, they're weird. Starship, we'll have to have a Starship Troopers watch along sometime. Starship Troopers has a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
Where were we? Arturo Alvarez, greetings from Mexico. Greetings,
Hey,
Arturo.
Arturo.
Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Remar got booted because substance abuse, and Al Matthews, who played Apone, shoot him out for discharging a shotgun in the confined APC. That's what Cameron knew he had to go. How would you like to be chewed out by the guy who played Apone? God damn it, the cigar in his mouth while he's yelling at you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want. Even then, I think in real life, Al Matthews, I wouldn't want to mess with him. I feel like he's the type, like, when you get yelled at by your parents, but when they like really get mad at you and yell at you, and you're just like, you feel like you got to go stand in a corner and be sad.
Express elevator to hell.
Going down.
I love all this, all the model work and this like effects. Even that, it's kind of half janky where the ship sort of like is shaky as it's approaching the atmosphere, but it just looks great. I like all the stuff with when they show the like loading the car, for lack of a better term, the assault vehicle. When they show them like loading that on to take it with them and all that, it's really just Chekhov's assault vehicle. So when it shows up later, we've seen it, but still, all this Marines getting ready to go be Marine stuff is just kick ass. Let's see where we. Marty also says Starship Troopers was conceived before Aliens. It was a novel from the 50s. In fact, Cameron made the cast read the novel as essentially soldiers versus bugs. Yeah, that makes sense. I knew that Starship Troopers was from an old school novel, but yeah, it would make sense that Cameron sort of included that in Space Marines. Yeah.
I like that they're all like, oh man, this guy ain't qualified for anything.
Yeah.
Gorman, when they're just like, especially when she just said right now, I was like, how many drops is you? 38 simulated. And then Vasquez, how many combat drops? 2, including this one.
I think, yeah, that we've all had that at work where somebody is put in like a leadership position and just because they're brand new or they're somebody's nephew or whatever. And it's like, this person doesn't know jack and I have to teach them how to do the job so they can be my boss. It's like, this sucks.
Happens all the time, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've had 2 or 3 different jobs where some variation of that has occurred. Like this new person is in a position where they're either going to be in charge of me or whatever, but it's like they were hired from the outside and I have to teach this idiot how to be in charge of me. This sucks.
You mean I got to protect this guy that doesn't know how he's doing, doesn't know what he's doing?
And then eventually train them so they can decide whether or not they want to keep me around or, boss me around or whatever. It's like, this sucks. So Kal-El is saying hello to everybody. Everybody's saying hello to Kal-El. I like that. That's nice when everybody's nice to each other. I like that she has aviator glasses on. It shows that she's the flyer. She's clearly a pilot. She has the sunglasses for it.
Right? Even though there's no sun going on. Like there's no sun whatsoever.
But it adds to her Top Gun feel to her. Like she's got a real maverick look about her.
I just love all these shots, man.
Yeah, that's what I was just
beautiful.
The model work, the stop motion with or whatever, however you would describe the way they made that jet fly or that plane fly. Spaceship, landing ship.
Yeah, see, like all this, like seeing like the Passover to Hadley's Hope and stuff. I like all that, and then they're watching it through the the old CR, what do you call them, the old CRT cameras or whatever.
CMT, yeah, the cathode ray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the just all of this, you can see it's just model work. Like they probably had it all on like a ping pong table or whatever, and they just took like a crappy camera and passed it over the top. But I mean, it feels alive. Now you would do all this with CGI and it would look too clear, and
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't want to have the rainstorm going on because we can't see the cool CGI.
Mm-hmm.
So Bishop drives the vehicle, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that. I mean, I
Well,
knew the vehicle is how they got from the lander to the base, but yeah, I didn't realize Bishop was the driver.
yeah, he at least right now he's a driver. Later on, like when he's back when they first established their their perimeter and stuff here at the place, then he stays back with like he's doing the autopsy and the face huggers and stuff. So
Yeah, I remember that's why I forgot he was the driver, because I knew he did like medical stuff with the autopsy
mhm,
and all that. So I was like, he's serving lots of purposes. Um, the way some of the Marines' guns are with that floating arm that helps like carry it for them, especially like Vasquez has that huge one. That
mhm.
floating arm is like basically a rig for a steady cam. Like instead of a gun, you put a camera on that. And that's how you get those cool floaty shots. So it looks to me like they repurposed some of their camera equipment as effects. Like,
Yeah, they put like like bike handlebars like where he's like Drake has it too. He's got that smart gun, but you can see he's like a handlebar for like a bike or like a motorcycle. Like they just camera just put a whole bunch of like stuff together on that. And that goes
yeah.
I mean that just goes back to like that era of like of prop making and stuff and effects, man. Just kind of like you're building upon something else, because I think that's like a Thompson machine gun or something like that. Marty might know for sure, but I think it's like a Thompson something type of machine gun, and then they just build on top of it like parts.
Well, I remember that was like one of my father's complaints when he watched the Rambo movies. Like he was willing to accept any of that crazy bullshit, but he could not accept that a grown man, only like one grown man could hold an M60 and fire it just standing there, like holding it. He's like, it
Yeah,
takes like two guys to operate it, and it usually has to be on the ground because it's so much kickback. He's like, one dude, no way. I don't care how much steroids he's on. Like he accepted everything else in those movies. Like one dude blowing up a helicopter with an arrow or whatever. But no,
yeah.
he was not having that M60 crap.
Well, see, it's the same argument. Somebody used to tell me the minigun, from like Predator. Yeah, so somebody told me that same exact like argument. It's like
It's
I
way
can't.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Sean took a break from In Between Demons 1 and 2 to drop in and say hi.
Hey, Sean, how's it
Thank
going?
you, Sean. I appreciate that. We, like I said, this is where I feel like we're in theaters next to each other right now. So if anybody needs to use the bathroom, make sure they stop in the Demons Theater and say hi, leave a like, leave a comment, tell everybody how awesome they are. But make sure you find your seat back here in an orderly fashion. Marty says Thompson machine gun kit based with a Spaz 12 as the grenade launcher. See, look at you. Marty knows.
Yeah, Marty is definitely the go-to for a lot of the Alien Predator stuff, and he's very, very knowledgeable. It's way beyond like my my knowledge base or anything like that.
Yeah, all the expanded universe Alien Predator stuff came way past my time. Like this came out when I was 12. So by the time Alien versus Predator came out, I was like in my 30s or whatever. Like, so like those comic books and everything were all out when I was like past comic book reading age. I was probably, into getting drunk at that point. So like a lot of the lore itself is just stuff that I remember from, Predator 2 and this and the other things I've picked up. But I know there's video. Oh, I have the Alien Space Marines game for the PlayStation, or PlayStation 3 maybe. And I remember I played the hell out of that. That was fun. But other than that, most of my knowledge is just what I can barely remember from seeing these movies in the background over the course of my life 8 million times.
Well, I remember like there was a rumor way back then that there was like when I was a kid, and I don't even know if it's like how legit it is, but I remember seeing a card I remember seeing a card of like one of these hallways, and it had like the predator like camouflaged like outline. Again, I saw it and I was just like, was it in Aliens? And then so I remember somebody long time ago was like, oh yeah, man, there was a predator there. I'm like, that's a little far fetched, man. I don't really. That might have been just somebody, you know, because it wasn't. It was a card, like it was an actual card, like a physical card
Hmm.
that somebody released, and I was just like, that's kind of stretchy, man. I don't know. And so yeah, that would have been interesting if a predator was there, like watching the whole time, you know.
Yeah. And all this I love. I think I talked about this same shooting style or filmmaking trick in Chud when I watched it. Available now on my channel in the catalog. Um, you send a group out and then they put cameras on the group that's exploring something. And then there's another people back in the base headquarters watching the camera. And it's basically analogous to us as an audience. We're forced to sit here and watch these people. So in the movie, they do the same thing where they're forced to sit there and watch other people act out the action, and you're helpless. You can't help them. You have to just see them on your own, let them live their lives. And of course, they just get mauled by aliens and everything. So in this, to see half the guys have guns and half the soldiers have like, some sort of camera rigs and everything, keeping track so people can monitor their movements. It's a Hitchcockian trick. Hitchcock often commented on the audience's relationship with what's going on screen. So all this is like them exploring the station, and they're sort of realizing that some real bad stuff has gone down, like Ripley has said would go down, and
Hmm.
you can see the realization on their face, like they're all acting their ass off.
Well, I like this part too, when they first see the face hugger, and it's a slow like build up to it. You know what I mean? Like it's a slow tension builder.
Yeah. Oh, Cameron's use of horror techniques, and really is what is more of an action movie than it is a horror movie.
Right.
It has so much horror element where it really builds to fright. Um, he doesn't use a lot of jump scares or any cheap tricks. Like he earns all the terror that's in it.
Hmm.
Yeah, this stuff here, this is classic monster movie stuff where they see the face huggers in the test tubes or whatever.
And even there, like that whole like where the moment he just barely touches her, she's just so like
Yeah.
on edge because she sees these things. It's like bringing back that PTSD from before, because
Yeah,
essentially,
that was a meta jump scare. Like she got it, but we didn't.
mhm.
Like,
Well, because I mean, if you think about it, essentially, again, I don't know, I can't. Maybe Marty knows this. I don't know how much time has passed between when she awoke and up to this point. I mean, I would imagine it's like several months or whatever, but um, it's essentially, but shoot, 57 years prior to that, it's really just
mhm.
like day to day. It's almost like she fell asleep, woke up, and it happened like yesterday. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So to her, I can imagine she still has that trauma, even this being like whatever much time later. But to her,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just like a month
an
or two.
isolationist piece thing. Yeah, she's detached from her time.
Hmm.
Buck Rogers. You know, and this all of this is just super inspired. The tracker was so where we can see like the radar or whatever on the. Um, I mean, I guess this is all submarine movie stuff, but it's awesome. Like because we can't see the villain, but we feel it approaching, and our technology says no, it's here on top of us, man. Like all of it is. Yeah, I guess it's
But
stolen from submarine movies mainly, but the feeling of it is just so much tension. Once again, she jump scared herself. She's more tripped out than we are.
mhm. And it's just funny, like that little bit of. I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but like the three Marines, they just kind of like okay, like nothing. They just like turn back.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a thermos. Settle down, Sigourney. That was Alien vs. Predator tabletop card game. I have that very card. The game works Photoshop predators into alien scenes and Marines into Predator 2. Shit. Marty knows. Yeah, the 57 years.
See, what I like about this too is like it's like that fake out too, you know, because right now we're, you know, it's new, and then later on when they're in that facility, then it's like you see all that stuff like coming in, and they're like, there's stuff moving in here, and it ain't us and stuff, and you know.
Well, it works to establish like what their equipment does, so later on when we have to stare at it, we understand kind of what's going on. But yeah, I mean, it is essentially a fake out, but it's also you know, them discovering the layout of the set they're in and the world they've now invaded.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of, I don't know, beautiful and amazing that all these people died because these aliens are so badass, and the only one that survived was like this little girl. You know, the only one really tough enough and smart enough to manage to get through all this was just, you know, someone who seemed like they would be the first to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
But that also, you know, like I say later on, Sigourney Weaver basically Ripley becomes like her adoptive mother, and that's kind of probably what their two build on, is they're both survivors, you know, of the xenomorph attacks.
Yeah, and I think that's what connects them both at the
Yeah,
same time too. I mean, I don't really think they don't really you know, state that, but I think it's kind of implied, you know. Like
yeah,
she's surviving, she's been able to survive this, and Sigourney survived this, you know, previously. So I think that sort of connection, saying it without saying it, you know what I mean?
yeah. Well, it's important to convey that the way to beat anything, especially this, is through you know, having a strong spirit or a will to live or whatever, more than it is having a big ass gun. You know, the big ass gun helps, but as long as you have a will to live and you're smart, you'll probably be better off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Newt, this little girl acting. I normally dislike child actors. I think they're not very good, and the ones who are, like, they overuse, so we get the same child in like every movie for 3 years until they're no longer cute.
Looking
So,
at
but
you,
this little
Corey
girl,
Feldman.
she's awesome. Like
Oh yeah,
she kills it. Yeah,
this is her one and only movie, I would think, right?
I believe so. She was in. I see her sometimes at being advertised for horror conventions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she
But
was
other
at a con last year that I went to.
Carrie Henn
Mm-hmm.
is her name, and Carrie Henn,
She's a teacher now.
Aliens and Thunder Island. That's all she did, and that was 2020. Was Thunder Island?
Oh, so that was more recent then.
Yeah, so she did one movie in 1986 and one in 2020. Huh. But yeah, she steals the show. Like
Oh yeah. I've seen panels with her, and she talked about how Sigourney was like super protective of her, like on set and everything.
yeah, I mean, I obviously, you know, you don't want to traumatize the child, but the way her scenes are shot, she's mostly just screaming and, you know, like um, you know, acting to stuff that isn't there. She's kind of an early green screen actor. You know, I doubt they had xenomorph puppets to terrorize her or anything.
Well, the scene where it comes out, I think the scene where it comes out of the water, like it
Oh,
legit like scared her.
that one I could see, because yeah, she
It,
does get a good look at it, and it's gross coming up out of the water like that.
yeah, this whole stuff with her and like the, you know, being the mother, you know, it's like her instincts kicked in, you know, like
Yeah,
instantly when she saw the little girl. Like, cause now she's not all like freaking out or anything. You know what I mean? Like she's not all jittery or anything like that.
yeah, she's more back in her element and everything. Like she has something to contribute more than just being a witness.
Hmm.
Like, but the addition of the Newt character is like super smart, because we were talking about the whole you know, Space Marine stuff, and how there's like a character study within each one of them, and how they interact with Paul Reiser, and you know how they don't respect the leadership, and you know the different like how the two baddest ones are the damn pilot and Vasquez, and they're women, which generally in 1986 wasn't how you do that. You're supposed to want everybody to be Rambo and Schwarzenegger, to have these two kick-ass women.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add a little girl in there who's just a survivalist. It makes a nice stew.
Very progressive
Yeah.
for being in the 80s,
Rebecca, that's her name. I couldn't remember Newt's real name. That's what it is. Rebecca.
Casey. I like how she's like all smart too. Like later on when she says like about like any monsters in there, and she's like, no, because she's a piece of plastic. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Children acting is usually bad, but she kills it. I'm glad that she only did this one and walked away. She had a real like Barry Sanders performance there. I appreciate it.
yeah,
But
and
it adds. Yeah, they're all dead now. Yeah, can I go now? Yeah, it adds a certain amount of I don't know. The stakes go up now that she's here, which is crazy because she's been surviving on her own the whole time. But
mm-hmm.
in addition to these Marines who kind of signed up for a job where they might get attacked by monsters and killed, this little girl hasn't. She's just living her life or trying to.
See, like scenes like this where you see like Bishop and then him and like this guy right now is like interacting with Bishop. Bishop, the way he plays it, it's almost like, can you trust him?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I've often thought that the Lance Henriksen, all of these people are cast perfect. Lance Henriksen basically is he looks like a dude who could be trouble. And Sigourney Weaver as a lead, a lot of women don't have the gravitas. A lot of actresses don't have the gravitas she has, where she can just straight up boss around these dudes and own the screen, and everybody feels like that's right. Everybody in here is Paul Reiser as like the weaselly scum corporate guy. It's like perfect. He looks sleazy. If he had cocaine on him right now, would you be shocked?
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, see, the other thing too is like you say that about Sigourney Weaver. Well, I think it's because like once they, after this scene where they kind of like the Marines are like, oh, we don't know what we're up against, so it's kind of like they're kind of panicking, and then all of a sudden, Sigourney steps in and she's just like, no, we got to do this, and this. It's like, I think that's why they end up following her, because it's like, well, you've dealt with this before, so you know exactly what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, her character for sure. But I mean, like, as the actual casting of the actress, like around this time, like if you put Sissy Spacek in that role, I don't believe she could boss around the Space Marines. But like, maybe Jamie Lee Curtis, but I doubt it. Like, as a person, you have to have enough strength, So like, if you tried to recast Sigourney Weaver, I don't know if you could find Linda Hamilton. I'm not even sure at this point would be able to carry enough strength to boss around these people, like you were saying about how Sigourney immediately goes after Vasquez first. And it's like, well, she's the toughest one. So, if she's going to be bossing her around, she ain't afraid of none of them. And I don't know if I could see Sissy Spacek or Dolly Parton. Imagine Dolly Parton as Ripley. Just hey y'all, I don't think you understand. These aliens, they got acid for blood. Now, come on.
Or Lily Tomlin.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The casting of Sigourney Weaver, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head at this time period that. You know what I mean? Like maybe you could get like Raquel Welch or somebody, but even then, I don't. No women I jump to mind that would have the strength that Sigourney Weaver has, where it's very believable she's in charge. Like, why is she in charge? Said she is.
I don't know. Maybe Linda Hamilton after T2.
That's what I mean. Linda Hamilton later, when she gets swole, for sure could do it. But Linda Hamilton right after T1, like she's kind of a victim in T1, But yeah, I'm trying to think of who else was popular around 1986. because a lot of actresses are usually actresses that get by on their good looks. And Sigourney, she's beautiful, but that's not her strength. Her strength is her delivery and her literal strength. She feels like she means business.
What about Glenn Close?
Maybe Glenn Close. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm trying to think of what she was doing around 86. I know Fatal Attraction was like 88.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Glenn Close, because she can give you good like stern lip. What was the woman from The Contender? Oh God, what was her name?
Because I don't think Sally Field. I don't see that. Because Sally
Field. No, yeah, that's a lot of the actresses at this time. I don't think could play Ripley. Like she's sort of an inspired casting. She's almost. I mean, there's a reason Ripley needs to be in all the Alien movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's a dry heat. Yeah. And I love that little humor that he provides, man. Through all the they're all like trying to like figure out what they're dealing with, and you could tell they're all like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And then all of a sudden, there you go, Hudson coming in with the wisecracks, man.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a work dynamic with a lot of them. The way they, there's always a couple of people who are sort of class clowns, and there are other people who are, just sort of quiet because they don't really know what else to do but follow everybody else, and
I like when he realizes like this is a big old like fusion reactor. And
yeah, it's a giant yeah. You guys might want to shoot off a bunch of explosions around the nuclear reactor, but that's brilliant writing because then it ratchets up the intensity and it makes it so now not only could you maybe hit an alien or a xenomorph and get the acid blood on you, but then also you might miss and hit part of a nuclear reactor and blow everybody up. So let's be judicious with our firing, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, the woman, oh God, what's her name? Let me look real quick. Jeanette Goldstein, Vasquez. She's been canceled, or at least had people come after her because they say that she's doing the cultural appropriation thing with her playing, she's a white woman and she's playing Puerto Rican or whatever in this. So there've been all these people who kind of come after her. To me, I find it sort of ridiculous, especially in this era. It's like I don't think she does anything to disparage the Latin American community. She's not over the topping it or, hey Holmes, like she's not, let's have a taco. Like she's not over being stupid racist shit. Like she's, it's just an affectation of her character.
Well, I mean, did they ever go after Fisher for getting short circuit?
Yeah. Yeah, he got in big trouble for that. Well, basically anybody gets us in trouble as much as they allow themselves to be, because it's just like one of those things where they yell at people for a day or two and then they go away. But yeah, Fisher Stevens, what's his name? Aziz Ansari kind of started that whole thing where he thought that was a bad representation of Indian folks. Arturo says, I still have several products, even Aliens posters. When my parents were dating, they went to see the premiere of the movie till the date. I'm still one of the favorite Mexicans. Oh, there we go. Be all right. I told my mom good night. That a boy. Yo, lads, got a ring, Jim, before it turns 3 a.m. here. Awesome hanging out. Apologies for the fun night on you. Nice seeing you. Thank you, Marty. We appreciate you being here, buddy.
By Marty, man. Always fun, man.
Our buddy Monroy. Nice to be here. Hey, glad to have you.
Thanks for stopping by.
And Mikey. Also, Mikey Morg dropped by. Our guy, Mikey. Cheers, Mikey. Yeah, be sure to investigate any of the folks you see here in the chat. Learn about them. The chat replay usually has all of these people in their links and their usernames, so you can track them down. I'm lucky to be blessed with so many nice, cool people who drop by to say hello and contribute. Everybody's well behaved. My friend Pablo Antonio dropped by last night. He'd never been to one of our streams before, and he had pointed out. He sent me a message today about how nice everyone in the chat was. I was like, oh, my friends make me proud.
Nice. Yeah, man, that's that's what's been pretty cool, like I think I told you earlier, I was watching the replay of American Werewolf in London, and yeah, just everybody seemed like they were having a great time and everything. And I was like trying to stay up, man, so I can at least be at the beginning. But it's just like I crashed. Like I was able to share out the stream, and then all of a sudden it's like I was like laying there and it just I crashed, man.
Well, right before showtime, you and I that's when we were negotiating tonight's stream and figuring out when you could watch and still be able to get to sleep in time to actually make it to work and everything. So we were right up to the last minute. And that's when I was like, oh, and by the way, I'm getting ready to watch American Werewolf in London. So I'll see you. You're like, all right, cool. I'll share out the stream. Good night, I guess. Jen's reviews from the grave. Jen was here last night. Jen's new to me, and I just went and looked at her page last night after the show, and she's an awesome member of the horror community. I recommend everybody check out her page. She had a bunch to contribute last night, and looks like she's back at it again. Glenn Close is a great pick when she was in a movie called Jagged Edge, where she was both tough and vulnerable. I like Jagged Edge. Also, Jane Fonda. Could you have Jane Fonda be Ripley? I think she comes with too much political baggage, like because that's still around the time it wasn't too far removed from the Vietnam War. Like Marty was saying, that I think there might have been people who were anti-her that would put that on the movie. But maybe Jane Fonda. Glenn Close is better. I agree. I think.
Now, what about oh man, just had her. What about Adrienne Barbeau?
Monroy got his ass tapped by Linda Hamilton. That a boy. That story was awesome. I'm sorry. Who was your suggestion, Larry? I was just imagining Linda Hamilton with this ass spanking.
Yeah, I've seen the picture, man. It's good. I when he told me the story, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that's so awesome, dude.
That's great, Monroy. That's cool. I'm sorry. Who was your suggestion?
What about Adrienne Barbeau?
Ooh, yeah. She's pretty stern. Like I could see her bossing people around, or like being like very serious in her delivery to the point where a bunch of Marines would shut up and pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because of roles like from Escape from New York. I think you already see her as like she can handle herself.
Yeah. That's not a bad one. I think we're getting way warmer than with Sissy Spacek. She's the worst. She just would be like extra sad and doughy eyed. And the Marines would just be staring at her like, no. I think it's very nice of you to say, well, no problem. Like I say, I value people who are cool, and you super cool. So this is just a straight on firefight now with the Space Marines and the aliens, the xenomorphs. And I love how you can see the leadership just sweating his ass off, just nothing more than just, he's not even in the middle of the fight. He's panicking.
Yeah, he can't handle it. I mean, like you said, this is his second drop, like combat drop.
And here's what I was talking about, how their helplessness like conveys the audience's helplessness, like a Rear Window or something. Like you're forced to sit here and watch what's going down. And that's how they are too. Like they're trapped in their control room while watching these dudes just get slaughtered.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I like the captions, aliens screeching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and right here they're just like, we got to get out of here, man. Like they like Ripley said, they're cut off. So she's just like, you're not doing anything. So, and that's where it kicks in. This guy obviously can't handle it.
And I love that before she takes off, she puts Newt in the car seat. You put Newt in, settle her in, make sure she's okay. Yeah, she doesn't know how to drive, so she's banging into the walls and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or she's also driving, like panicking,
Yeah, and dude's wrestling with her and stuff. So Paul Reiser. And this is funny. It goes back to the old. There's like a Jerry Seinfeld bit where he's like, the first people who go to the moon. It's like, what the hell did they bring a car for? Like, why do you guys got a car on the moon? What are you cruising for chicks up there? Like, so, and that's kind of what this reminds me of. It's like their ride is kind of slick for going on an alien invasion,
right? Boom. See, like this part always bums me out because Drake was one of my favorites. I wish he would have like lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, any of the Marines, like we get a chance to meet them up front, pretty good to where it's like, oh, I like this guy, I see this person's like that, and like I said, we've been singing Vasquez's praises of how tough she is, and you learn just enough about them to have some sort of opinion of them,
And then you just got that one right there. Boom.
Yeah, that's always what makes the xenomorph so scary to me is the acid blood. More than anything, the face hugger is gross and scary and nobody wants to get face hugged, but the acid blood where it's like, I can't even kill this thing from any sort of close distance because then I'm still going to, get it.
And this part right here is like crazy.
Yeah, this is horrors of war, Saving Private Ryan stuff. And then the mall of wow, eat this. And then once again, the acid blood, it just adds tension to each scene a little bit more. So good.
Yeah, because really there's like less than a handful of them like left of the Marines at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, they're being picked off. It's the horror movie stuff. You know what I mean? Like slowly but surely they're chipped away, and we lost a big chunk in one sitting. That's super cool with the car on fire while it's driving.
I like this part where he just runs it over. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just see that close up of the head just.
Yeah, she's learned how to drive this thing pretty quick. She's quick on the uptake. But any of the stuff where they leave the base and they're out in the real world or whatever, it looks so amazing. All the rock planet with the bad weather and all.
I like that dystopian look.
Yeah. Good description. And Jen says also, good evening, anyone. Yes, thank you, Jen. We appreciate you being here, as I mentioned before. Jen or Brittany says she's got to go get some coffee. Oh, you're gonna be a late night owl. Juan's got to get headed out. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for joining us, Juan. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks for coming by, brother. Always appreciate you, man.
That Linda Hamilton story is a highlight. April 26, 2024, next Alien Day. Ooh, I was unaware there was one. An Alien Day.
Oh, really? You didn't know that? Yeah, it's been going on for a while.
April 26th.
In fact, one of the NECAs that I got not too long ago, I got the Alien Day exclusive Vasquez that they did back in 2017.
Okay.
The only bad thing is it's what?
Why is it April 26th? What? Why that date?
I want to say it's because that was when Alien came out. Let's see.
Like you know what I mean? Like May the 4th is Star Wars Day because May the 4th be with you. Like why is April 26th Alien Day? I know in the late teens, the 20 teens, there was a bunch of like Pris was born and stuff. So like on those days, we would see the birth dates of the replicants. Paul Reiser's worried about the budget. Like that was expensive money, and she's like, they can bill me.
Oh no, the reason why. So the reason why it's that is because in the original Alien, it's LV-426.
Okay, there you go.
That's why I was. That's why I was. That's why it was picked like
Yeah.
426.
Yeah, well, I figured the date had to be something. I didn't know, but that makes sense. LV 426.
Yeah.
I figured they would have figured to work in Nostromo into something to do with November. That's why I was thrown off. uh,
No Strovember,
yeah, exactly. That sounds like something Video Tasties would have on his channel.
right?
Stop by for Nostrovember. We're gonna watch all the Alien movies. I like all this where he's just like, we take off, we nuke it from orbit, and that's kind of when Ripley and Hicks sort of like I don't know. I don't think they fall in love, but you can tell there's some sort of something that goes on between them in their eyes, and like at that moment, especially, it's like I like you, I like you too.
Like the way you think.
Exactly. I was just thinking we need to get the hell out of here and nuke it from space. He even says it like kind of half sexy with her, like he looks at
Mhm.
her with
Like
he's giving her the F
only
me
way,
eyes.
yeah,
Yeah,
like only
I
way to
got
be
you.
sure.
Me and you are on the same page. Here's what we're gonna do, baby.
Well, it's like later when when he gives her the watch, the locator. It's like it's not like we're married or anything,
Hmm. He
but
knows. He's
he's
trying
like,
to get
yeah,
laid when
we
this
are,
is all over. He
right?
realizes the power of trauma bonding.
Well, see, I mean, that's the thing. Like as the movie progresses, he's more about like protecting her. Like he starts becoming more of like he's trying to protect her and Newt.
Yeah, I like that's why I'm saying I can't imagine James Remar in this role at all. Like his character arc in this, where he's kind of just like the quiet, likable space marine. Like nobody has any issues with him, and nobody's like, "Man, that Hicks sucks" or whatever. Like everybody's like, "Oh, Hicks is
Mhm.
cool," And then he immediately takes a liking to Sigourney or to Ripley and to Newt. That is still a bad rear projection shot, but every time I see it, it's great.
Well, see, it always it reminds me of the first Terminator when you see
Yeah,
those when you see the HKs like when in the nightmare sequences or whatever like
yeah, there
that.
is bad rear projection in that too.
But see, that
But
whole scene reminds me of like Kyle Reese running through there like when he gets onto the little Jeep or whatever.
yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Well, there's a weird thing with rear projection in film, anyways. Like Brian De Palma often uses it as like a surrealistic device. Tarantino does that too, like where you just use. Sorry, Bill Paxton losing his shit is just epic. And then these two with the wind blowing, it looks like freaking Gone with the Wind. I shall never lose another soldier to the xenomorphs again.
Game over, man. Game over.
Game over, man. God, Bill Paxton's good. Like normally when someone chews up scenery like that, it's annoying, especially from a background character. But like he
Hmm.
steals just enough of the scenes and then gives it back. Like,
And this is like, this is not even. Would you call this like the height? This isn't the height of Bill Paxton either.
hmm, it's pretty close to Weird Science. And then True Lies is what, early 90s?
Hmm.
I would say this is peak Paxton. It's in the 10-year window that he was probably most successful. But later on, he moves into directing and stuff with like Frailty and some other things. So I think he got more diverse as he went on. But in this window is when you get, Weird Science, this, True Lies, Near Dark,
Predator,
um,
Predator 2.
Predator 2. Um,
Because I mean, even in Commando, it's just he's got that little cameo.
yeah, yeah.
But it's a little cameo, but it's like, oh crap, it's Bill Paxton.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any of his biggest ones that came later on in his career because he was always solid then. Like he's in Titanic and other stuff, and he's always good when he turns up. But his peak, I think, is probably from like 85 to 95 or somewhere in there.
Well, he's great in Club Dread also.
Mm-hmm.
Coconut Pete.
She tells him, "I am sick of your bullshit."
Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they're kind of like, you've been through this. I feel like that's like, he's just like, okay, like, and she's giving him direction too. So it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's how he's handling it. It's like, okay, now I have direction. I need to do this.
Well, she's displaying leadership. Like I say,
Right.
I think it's her and who she is so important. Like she feels like she means business. So there's no like back talking her back. What do you know? It's like, no, she knows. Because theoretically, what? Like Hicks should probably be in charge. Isn't he the highest ranking officer here?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but again, it goes back to what I was saying, like how the Marines, they don't know what they're dealing with. It's like she knows what they're dealing with. That's why I think Hicks kind of like, okay, I'm gonna let you. I'm okay with you handling the reins here because what you're doing. You know what's going on. You have a grip on what they're dealing with. I feel like Vasquez is just like going with the motions.
yeah. Arturo points out he confuses the actor Chris Christopherson with Tom Skerritt, the co-star of Alien. They're easy to mix up. They have similar attributes. Have Cheetah Will View is here. He says meow
Hey,
to you, hoot hoot to me. So he speaks our language. And of course, he's a big fan of Jonesy. So yes, they needed more Marines. Damn right they did. You guys are gonna need more FBI guys. So I thank you, Patrick, for dropping by. I recently was interviewed by Patrick on his channel. So if you're a fan of the Don Universe, drop by and visit 8 Questions with Don Nichols on Patrick's channel. I like all this stuff with the welding too. Like they make welding look so cool in this movie.
Yeah, the little like handheld welder thing.
Yeah, welders everywhere got props.
See, it's like this part right here.
Yeah,
Just a precaution. It's like, it's not like we're married or anything.
but you can see like the
Or
way they're
is.
interacting and like the way she looks him up and down and stuff. Like they're saying a lot with just the way they're carrying themselves. They don't really have direct dialogue that feels like
Mm-hmm.
because they're in the middle of an alien crisis. They don't really have time for humping. We can get to sex later, girl. Now we have other things that are more important. Yeah, this scene is fantastic where she goes to put Newt into the little bed in the like medical bay, and then when we realize that this is a setup. Joseph the Horror Guy says, "What's up, guys? Welcome, Joseph. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Nice to see you around."
Hey, Joseph, how's it going?
He's everyone doing? I'm doing well. How are you doing, Larry?
Doing pretty good, man. Watching Aliens with my buddy Don and everybody here in the chat. So yeah, doing good. Doing good.
Patrick also has interviewed Michael Biehn as well, so he has tied all this together. That's what I like about you, Patrick. That's prestigious. I've been on the same show now with multiple people I like. As far as the time step goes, there is 58 minutes and 3 seconds left. We're right at the 58-minute mark right there. So I've got just under an hour left with credits, probably about 50 minutes. We're coming into the home stretch. We're into the second half of the movie now.
And that's the other thing with this movie being so long, it never feels like a dull moment.
No, this sometimes I often talk about tension and release. Like something big happens, and then maybe you take a little bit to have some dialogue and let exposition happen, and then you release the tension, and then we come back strong with more tension. This movie's great at it. It's like a good music.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a big exciting scene with all these Marines and explosions and them talking about nuking it and all this. And now it's like, let's tuck the kid into bed.
Cross my heart.
Promise.
And hope to die. That's how you know that little girl is like, she's got some trauma, man. Because she's like, and hope to die. Like, you'll die saving me. Hey,
Liv,
Liv.
hello, welcome. Thank you for dropping in. And Brittany is back with her coffee. She's ready for the last hour. Let me see. I'd like to have a peanut butter cookie.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Those Girl Scout ones?
The knockoff ones, the great value, literally great value Girl Scout ones. The old peanut butter fudge rounds. That's the problem with country living, man. The big store is the Walmart, so the fine dining is down to a limited amount.
Hey, man.
But I'm not complaining. I love a good peanut butter cookie.
Oh, yeah.
I love all this with the face huggers and the test tube. Like, it makes everything feel so futuristic and clinical, even though we just saw like it's wrought iron and like catwalks and it feels like a spaceship movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I like it. This whole scenery, this whole like facility and everything looks great. Like, even though it's like all ruined and disheveled and everything, or all just completely messed up. I mean, there's still so much you can like look and want to explore.
Oh yeah.
Like, I didn't mention it earlier. Like, when they're going through at the beginning, and they're kind of like, you're seeing like the half-eaten donut, and you're seeing like the old coffee, and you're seeing like just all this stuff. Just it's just like, I don't know. It just makes it's great world building, and it makes you want to like, man, I wonder what else did they see that we didn't see on screen. You know what I mean?
Well, I've talked about this in other movies, especially a lot of 70s and early 80s movies. They made the characters' homes look lived in. Like, you would see dirty clothes on the bed, or you would see like a towel in the bathroom or whatever. I mean, like, now a lot of times they make things look like model homes. Like, everything looks fake and sanitized, like the Truman Show or something. So here we see a future that looks lived in, like the way Star Wars is. Like, it looks like it's been around a while. Like Star Trek is very clean and sanitized, as this looks like a world where stuff is dirty.
Well, it's like when I was telling you, it's like when we were watching Video Drone with Matt. Remember, I was like kept commenting on James Wood's apartment. It's like the whole place is like a mess. It's a pigsty, and it's just, but it's real. It's like, houses aren't going to be like, the maid's not going to come like every day. You know what I mean?
Well, also the composition, like, if you, from a cinematographer standpoint, you don't want a bunch of clutter all around because it distracts from the main character of the shot. So to accept kind of things in the frame, you have to understand the composition better, like you're painting a picture. So it takes more work to set up a pretty shot when the world looks lived in, as opposed to, clean hallways and just straight lines and everything. Let me see here. Our friend Joseph Tehor's guy is asking if we have seen, I just had it, Sound of Freedom 2023. I have not seen The Sound of Freedom. I know it got a bunch of big publicity and everything. It was an independent movie. I think it was like the biggest independent movie of the year. But it did really well at the box office while staying like the 5th highest ranked movie each week. Like, it never became like, I think it was only number 1 in America for like a couple days, but the rest of the time it just stayed at 4th or 5th for like week after week after week, and it just made money. But no, I haven't seen it yet. Jim Caviezel, I believe.
I haven't seen that one.
Patrick says, "Cookie, me want cookie." Here you go, buddy. And then he rewatched the movie last week. Patrick, have you seen Sound of Freedom? Not yet, Joseph, but I want to for sure. I hope you enjoy it. So Joseph's doing a publicity tour for the Sound of Freedom. Jim Caviezel may be slightly crazy, but he's a hell of an actor. I can't believe he was a great actor in the movie. A Few Good Men is a great film. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're caught up.
The other thing I was going to say, I did start watching. I hadn't seen it, but since I still have Shudder, I was like, I better check out some of these movies that I can't, that are only Shudder exclusives. I started watching Jacob's Wife with Barbara Crampton.
Oh, okay, okay.
So far, I mean, good. I haven't finished it yet, but from what I saw, I was like, oh, this is not too bad. The effects are kind of cool, bloody. Interesting. I mean, Barbara Crampton, I feel like as she's gotten these older roles, like she's really, really good.
Yeah.
And not for nothing.
I would watch that just because of Barbara Crampton. So it was,
right. No, and that's why, like, when I was seeing the promotional stuff back when it was first coming out, I was like, oh wow, cool. She's like doing stuff again. And I know she was in that movie. I think she was in that movie You're Next.
Oh, okay.
And then
I still never seen your. Oh no, I saw Your Next, the dinner party movie. I was thinking of Birthday, My Death Day or whatever.
Happy Death Day.
Yeah. No. Barbara Crampton. I follow her on Instagram. She's real active on there, and she's got apparently a lot of projects coming out. Like she's between hitting up the horror conventions and doing new stuff. It looks like she's incredibly busy. So whoop whoop for the Barbara Crampton fans out there. Whoop whoop.
I hope she goes to Frightmare. I'd like to meet her. I would definitely like to meet her. She's one person that I would definitely like to meet. Yeah. Also, she was going to do a movie for Glenn Danzig. Danzig was like directing a movie, and she was going to be in it.
Oh, okay.
So was Julian Sands. Before he passed. Well, I mean, he had already filmed his stuff for it. So, I mean, and then I saw something like there's like another movie that's coming out that has like the last performance of Julian Sands or something like that.
Okay. Well, I know you're a big Warlock fan, so you keep up with the comings and goings of Julian Sands.
I was really bummed, man, when he disappeared. I was like, oh, man. And then after a month, I was like, yeah, it's like I kind of knew. And then when they found the remains, I was just like, yeah, well, I mean, it had been like 3 months or something.
Yeah, it's weird, like, you know, your awareness of so many different people in the entertainment industry, you know, between music and TV and film and all this, like, you kind of accept that some folks just get old, or some folks have medical issues or psychological issues or whatever, and they end up not with us anymore. But every now and then there's one that just really hurts, you know, like when we lost Betty White or Peter Falk, or like when Carl Weathers passed away. You and I were both just like, man, Carl Weathers, really? Like they feel like their family or something. Like, so yeah, we each have kind of our own, the ones that hit us harder than the others, you know. Yeah, like I said, when Peter Falk died, I remember people being like, "Why you look so sad?" I'm like, "Man, Peter Falk died." I'm like, "Who?" You're about to join him, you son of a bitch.
like for me, like I had never been a person that was like, if a celebrity passed away, I was like, oh, okay, you know. And
yeah, I don't know. What do I care? Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to say the first one that really that affected me a lot was Peter Steele from Type O Negative, because I'm a huge Type O Negative fan, and so I was just really bummed about that. And then when Romero passed, same thing. I'm a huge Romero fan, so when he passed, and the fact that I have met Romero a couple of times, just like I was like, man, I was really bummed about that too. In fact, that year for Halloween, before what I would do, you know, way before YouTube, I would just watch like horror movies every weekend. But that year, I did like a Romero zombie film like every Friday, like after work. And then
when Romero passed away, that was another one that hit me kind of hard. Like, man, George's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Certain ones just there's a cool matte painting. Sorry, I got distracted by good artwork. The Bishop and the Electrical Storm is good stuff. Um, let's see here. Questions: Warlock 1 or 2? I like the girl a lot in the first, but 2 is a better movie for him. What do you think?
I gotta go with Warlock 1. Only reason being is because I feel like Warlock 2 is more campy. Um, it's definitely more over the top, and then but I will say Sans in that one is like he's just he's the Warlock in that one. Like you're there to watch him in Warlock 2. Warlock 1 is just it's more of like him and Richard E. Grant, you know.
Yeah.
And I like both of them, and I think I mean, them against each other. Like I like that whole dynamic where they showed, them. It's like a coming of age story, where it's like, or fish out of water story, where it's like they're both from back then, and then they get traveled to the future, and they're trying to figure things out and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Warlock 2 was like a one watch, and I really barely like penetrated my consciousness. As you were saying it, I'm like, okay, it's all coming back to me. But Warlock 1 was a frequent cable watcher. That one was on the afternoon a lot. For some reason, the Phantasm sequels and the Warlock were always on in the afternoon on cable. I don't know why.
Well, see, like Warlock, I first saw it on TBS.
Oh, there you go. Here we're seeing the awesome scene where Ripley goes in to check on Newt while she's sleeping, and Newt is underneath the bed, and it kind of like illustrates she's got like this psychological trauma of sitting out open, exposed, and so she gets under the bed and they kind of cuddle, and it's very sweet, like tender moment, and that's when Ripley realizes that there's something loose in there with them, and this whole thing is, as I alluded to earlier, is a setup for one of these two to get impregnated by the face hugger. Oh, let me see here. Cal says he's old. He's about 76. Let's see here. Cal corrects himself. He says, no, he's like 75. So Echo's here, our friend Echo Zero, and he's hassling Kal-El daily. Warlock 2 has a lot of action. I like the Dream Warriors feel. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been a minute since I've seen it, but your description of it is, yeah, I do remember it being slightly more like wacky or campy or, yeah. Let me see here. So you're saying Warlock 1 is Terminator 1 and 2 from the characters past, fight in the future, and the human wins.
I mean, I didn't say it like that, but now that you say it sounds...
I didn't say that. You said that, but it got said. Warlock 3, not bad though. What's your opinion on Warlock 3, Larry?
It doesn't exist to me.
Attaboy. That's the Larry I know. If Professor was here, he'd probably say it doesn't exist to him either. Joseph says he has not seen the Terminator, but he's going to add it to his list. Yeah, I would definitely see the Terminator, Joseph. I like it. It's a borderline horror movie.
Basically, I mean, that first one is like a slasher, right?
Yeah, that's how I always feel about it, that she's being stalked by a killer that's coming from her, and that, it's crazy because they're being stalked in public, like they can't really get away from anywhere, a nightclub or anywhere. It's the thing's just going to come for you. Speaking of come for you, Sigourney Weaver fighting this face hugger is just scary shit. Like, I think the way she's like keeping it, she knows how to defend it. Like she's familiar with how it works, so she has the hand up to defend it. And then Newt pinning the tail of the face hugger, or whatever you want to call it, the throat grabber part. I like that Newt is fully aware of all the Marines' names. She knows Hudson and Hicks and them. It takes 4 people to wrestle a face hugger away. I think that's, like, physics wise, I think that's a lie. That thing only weighs 12 pounds.
Well, I think it's just the fact that they're trying not to, like,
choke her out while doing it.
Well, not only that, but tear it to it's like the blood,
Oh yeah, the bloody, the acid blood, yeah. Because I suppose you probably could cut the tail with, like, a knife or something, but
no, they're like literally trying to pry it like
Yeah. But just that scene where it's got the like tail wrapped around her neck, and then she's fighting it off with her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't know, the tension of that is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And now when they've got Paul Reiser, and they're basically like, they realize he's awful, and even Newt is giving him the stink eye. Like she's not
Mm-hmm.
happy with it. Oh, let's see here. Larry Cable Guy, what do you know? He's not a cable guy. He's a streaming guy, and nowadays that's what I make him be. Actually, you're watching this on Max, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Often when we watch these, I know you usually watch the video version or the disc version. I would probably prefer to watch it on disc, obviously, because you can control it and all that. But I'm fine with streaming on this one. I would have preferred to see the extended cut, though.
Yeah, I don't know if they have that, and they might have had that on Hulu or maybe Amazon Prime. Prime, I mean Prime, they would have had it, but I mean you would have probably had to pay for it, maybe.
Yeah, the old rental fee. So then, yeah, here's the part where they're yelling at Paul Reiser and everything, and then they feel like the lights go out and the emergency lights kick in, and they're like, they cut the power. He's like, what do you mean they cut the power?
How could they cut the power, man? They're animals.
But once again, another super smart scene to like bathe this all in red light, and then because it feels bloody and gross, but it's really just emergency lighting. But it also adds to like a real shadowy, hard to get a good look at what's going on in the dark kind of feel.
Yeah, well, it gives it that extra, extra terror factor. Because I mean, I've seen other like emergency lighting; it's just like white.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so for this to be like red like that, it's like,
Well, and they've been in the same scenery for 2 hours or for an hour now, or an hour and a half. So we've just been seeing like cargo holds and like catwalks, and maybe occasionally we're in like a medical facility, but otherwise it's all kind of the acting is carrying things more than the scenery, except for when they go outside into the electrical storms and stuff. So to bathe red light on everything we've seen almost changes the set.
yeah, because it's like now it's like there's that now there's that darkness, but even then it's like red is like what's lurking. It makes it more like, I don't know, it makes it pop more, the horror, you know what I mean, like the scary elements. Like it's not completely dark, but it's
Well,
still
they're
not a.
also the blue light in contrast, like the blue light from the radar scope, and then like the blue light, like Sigourney Weaver has kind of that flashlight with a blue hue to it, so it makes everything kind of a purplish or like a red blue divide. Like I don't know, color wise, it just changes the visual feeling of the scene. Danger, man, danger.
Well, even right now when they start like shooting and everything with the pulse rifles, and you see all that strobing and then
Yeah.
the blue lights, even that is just, it adds to that, like, out of that discombobulation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like a comic book or something. It doesn't. We can see it's real life because we're looking at it, but it feels like a painting or a drawing. It's the art is awesome. I love this scene where they're like, "That's in the room," and and then they eventually realize, and they like look up in the ceiling, and we see them crawling around in there. Like, I don't know if you've ever like found bugs in your house or something. That's what it's like. Where you're like, "Where are these ants coming from?" You're like, "Oh my god, there's a million ants over here." Like,
Mhm.
yeah, we moved into an apartment when I was a kid, and there was a roach in there. And then the next day we found more roaches, and we called the apartment people, and they brought them in, and they opened up the behind the fridge, and it looked like that with roaches. Like they were living behind the fridge in this apartment we moved into. We had to be relocated to a different apartment in the building and everything. And that's what I'm reminded of. Like, oh my God, look at them all.
Yeah, even the way they look almost insectoid, you know?
Yeah, they're like a gross infestation.
Hmm.
I like when she tells her, Newt, stay close. And then Newt immediately like kind of waddles over by her.
Mm-hmm.
She knows. And of course, stupid Paul Reiser tries to be a weasel, and his weaselness doesn't pay off.
Right. Yeah, man, when it's almost kind of like you're happy when he gets it, you know.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing that you wanted to basically like uh exploit for the company, and that was your downfall, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Here we go. The sad part in the film.
Yeah. It was going to have to happen eventually, but we're mad it did. I love that the hand reaches up and like covers up his mouth. Like,
Yeah.
even the aliens are sick of listening to this dude, bitch. Yeah, this movie does a great service to welding. It makes welding look really cool.
Right. It should be like they should sprinkle that into like trade commercials.
Yeah, exactly. You can join the Space Marines or you can be a welder. Same thing. You don't got to do all those push-ups. Joseph says he's going to go. He's going to get some sleep. You have a good night, buddy. I hope you rest well.
Thanks for stopping by, Joseph.
Yeah, appreciate you dropping by, my man. Yeah, and then him backing up, and then eventually the alien. And the alien that eats Paul Reiser has like the extra grossest, slimiest mouth. Like it's extra jizz covered or whatever that is. Brittany says roaches are nasty. Yeah, I know exactly. That was the only time in my life I'd ever experienced them. I was like, my mom had just she was a single mom and she was trying to find like a nice apartment. In the first place, like I think the second place we moved into, and like the roaches behind the fridge. I always remember that alien scene. Like, oh my god, we got to get the hell out of here. This is a nightmare. It's like the worst imaginable version of Die Hard.
Yeah, this whole part, like the claustrophobic, going through
Yeah.
that, man, that's like, even that, I mean, just, and then, yeah, with Vasquez, she sees that thing like just coming in like a spider or like a roach, like coming at her,
Well, all this is just such a video game. Like it feels like Doom or whatever, a Red Faction, a Call of Duty, whatever, any sort of first person shooter. Like it just feels the walking down these hallways and then having to like turn left and right. Back on old school Nintendo, the Fester's Quest, I remember, like had all this in it. Like just so many video games. This feels like being trapped in this tiny, scratched down hallway.
God, man, it's just like she's blasting them, but they're still coming. It's just like endless hordes of them. Hence the
Yeah.
name aliens.
Yeah, this even in like I say in video games, they make you crawl through these tunnels, but then you also have to do the duck down walk so you can't run. Like,
Boom.
the way they cut that with the alien, the way it like fights and wiggles and shakes and stuff like it's having a spasm after she shoots it, that's great.
I like that Gorman.
I like this scene because this whole movie they've been butting heads. And, everybody kind of hates Gorman, and he's like this coward. And for him and Vasquez to go out together, like as people who almost hated each other, to see them and the Alamo Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid thing, like going down fighting, it's pretty badass. Like when he takes the grenade, then she wraps her hand around it, and there's like this feeling of like the bond they have together.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah, that's badass. That's some really amazing, like emotional writing to put into just a scene where somebody just gets blowed up. You could totally make that a dumb action scene, and they make it really emotionally resonant. It's pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, because it's just like you were saying, it's like they're butting heads the whole time, and she's like blaming him for everybody else getting killed, and then for her to just kind of like, that's sort of like, I'm with you, like,
Yeah.
because he looks at her and he's like, hey, how do you feel about this? And then it's just
Yeah,
like,
I got the gun. Yeah, I got the gun.
yeah, just all around, man. Like I still, this movie never gets old.
Yeah, even now, just the action beats of like them on the run and then her slipping down into this like waist high water, which is basically like almost like the trash compactor scene in A New Hope. Like,
Hmm.
she's trapped down here and she doesn't know where she's at, and they've got to get down and find her. And we just sort of know there's a monster in the water.
And then especially like, because it's like that explosion clearly it stopped. It kind of held them off. But
Mhm.
I'm sure that by this point they're just like all over the place. That's why they're able to get to the girl super quick. Plus they're going
I think
through every crevice and everything.
I think the Ripley and the Space Marines kind of figured out what the people who lived there figured out is like they were crawling in through the holes. Like they weren't always just out in the hallways. They were up in the ceilings and down in the basement and all that. Like the xenomorphs attacked from all the little hidden crevices.
Hmm. And then you see that big old like on the radar, like all like
Yeah,
that.
the horde of them, like
Hmm.
huge, brutal. Brittany says that roaches are nasty, and then Kal-El says, "But what about Papa Roach?" And then she says, "Papa Roach." So yeah, that shows the age difference of group we have here. I like that we get a diverse audience.
I would say older Papa Roach is more tolerable.
I can't. I'm trying to remember. I don't. I think I only know like one Papa Roach song. To be honest with you,
I know three, and they're all from their first album, and that was,
so there you go.
yeah, or at least I think it's their first album, the album that actually got them blown up, that made them blow up. There you go,
I love,
Cal. That's one of them.
I love the shot of Casey's head floating in the water. Like it's a good symbolism. Scary,
Hmm.
the little girl with her dolly head floating in the water.
Yeah, because she wouldn't go anywhere without that thing. So the fact
And
that
then you
it's
see
there.
like Ripley can't even run. Like she's emotionally like,
Hmm.
she's back to like she's had her energy zapped from her. Like
Hmm.
I love the elevator, yeah. Damn thing. The blood. Yeah, that's my issue with the xenomorphs is that you can't if they get close, you're screwed because you can't even kill them or shoot them or stab them or nothing because then you just get acid on you.
I like how here she's like, she's carrying him out.
Mm-hmm. She's
So,
back to
mhm.
like a caretaker role, a mothering role or whatever of providing protection for Hicks.
We're not leaving. We're not.
That's a cool shot. That's got to be what a model shot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can maybe almost even see behind it, the arm they're using to lower it because they're covering with fog. But that was an amazing effect shot. But yeah, I think that's what struck me about the newer, what is it, Prometheus and Alien. What was
Covenant.
the other? What is it?
Covenant.
Covenant. Thank you. I was drawing the blank on it. Alien Covenant and Prometheus. Um, the sets, the Giger stuff, and then but as well as just the idea of what like buildings in the future and like facilities in the future would look like. That just the sets often steal the show, but we'd only see like little glimpses of them. We don't get to stare at them for too long like they do in Star Wars.
Hmm.
I think when you compared it to Blade Runner earlier, you were spot on. That's pretty accurate.
Well, yeah, because it just feels like everything is like industrial. Everything feels like it's like built upon, and that was a big thing about. I mean, because he did an Alien first, and then he kind of took that and did that to Blade Runner, and
Mm-hmm.
this being in the future, this is still kind of like it's almost like Star Wars in the sense that like it's future, but the technology and the hardware is sort of like it's sort of pieced together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's stuff that we recognize that's evolved or whatever. Like, I love how she makes her own gun. The where she like takes the two guns and she tapes them together and it's got the flashlight on it and stuff. Like,
Yeah, and for her to think of that like right on the spot, like to like okay, well, to figure that out and come up with that.
yeah, the flamethrower and then the pulse rifle together but she knows she can't leave Newt, so she's got to go back for her. If there's any chance she's alive, she can't leave.
There's a couple things that bother me about this, and
Do
like
tell.
the things that bother me about it is for one, like why didn't she take another clip? Like there was other guns in the ship. Like she only took like one clip, like for the pulse rifle.
She maybe she wanted to travel light. Yeah, I don't know.
Wasn't it's not just that, but like then she has like the grenades, the grenade belts or whatever. She
Mm-hmm.
literally just throws all of them in there. I would have kept at least one or two, and then you know at least last resort. Like the Papa Roach song.
Tie it all back together.
Yeah, now here she's just like she's a mother trying to save her child at this point.
Yeah, this is where they've done a good job of building to this final fight. Like there's stakes here beyond just Newt is missing. There's the whole like we know she's already lost one daughter, so now she's getting another daughter, and she's lost this one, and she's not going to do it again, and all of it. Like there's the story has been building along the way to this, and now like yeah, the motherhood instinct is kicked in, and we see her battle up against the alien mother who's laying the eggs and stuff. Like once again, awesome use of the lighting. We're in like a blue lighting now.
Hmm. But not only that, you see like I also like that the pipes are overheating, so they're like super red, like right there where she's passing over that. That
Yeah,
means like it's like they're showing you like this reactor is like getting hot. It's boiling over. But I feel like that kind of gives it more stakes, And then you hear like the announcer in the background saying like you have this many, you know, this much
yeah.
time left.
The countdown, the ticking clock. That's classic movie stuff. You put the ticking clock on that way, the audience and has a sense of like, okay, we're building to the countdown to zero.
Hmm.
But this is all just so many video games have stolen from this. Metroid, just any like alien invasion stuff. Um,
I mean, even Resident Evil. A lot of the
Resident
Resident.
Evil for sure, yeah. Um, but just even like yeah, the red, like you were pointing out, the pipes heating up red. That would be something that would happen in a video game. Like you're keeping track that the heating pipes are getting red. We're going to explode soon.
Hmm.
And I like that we've gone back into the aliens' lair. Like we can see like how they've been living in there, like a infestation of spiders, and there's webbing everywhere. Like this has their weird. I don't even know what that is. Just their gook that just strange tentacles and stuff for no reason.
Yeah, the very Giger-esque like
Yeah,
decor.
yeah. Like there's no real reason for it. Like there, that thing she's leaning on there. Well, I think that later turns out to be part of the queen, doesn't it? But like the like it looks like they install skeletal remains into the wall to try to make it extra creepy. Like there's no reason for it.
See, like this part, I can understand, like where she's cocooned in. You know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And they've got her trapped so the egg can eat her.
And boom, right into it.
Yeah, this is great. Just the good use of slime and latex. Somehow doesn't get any acid on her or Newt.
Well, I think they're far away.
Yeah,
Like they're
that was. It looked like there was a bit of distance. But when they show him get shot, like you can see the, you know, that's part of what always makes it so uncomfortable. Like the blood isn't just splatter; it's actual like danger. Explosion starting. Matte painting.
This whole like James Horner, the way he did the score for this is, man, it's great.
Yeah, I have it muted, so I kind of was forgetting how awesome the score is. But yeah, I do remember the orchestral build up to all this, and
Well, even when they're flying out, they used to use that in so many different trailers. Like after this movie, like they would do that when they're flying out of the space station or the Headley's Hope and it blows up. Like just that whole like dun 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 that part. It's like I've seen that in so many other like trailers. They use that song.
here's where we see where the eggs are coming from, and we realize that that thing I was kind of complaining about earlier is just all a big egg sac attached to like the queen alien. Whoever came up with this is just wild. Like, where do those eggs from the first movie come from? Like this big alien queen thing. And then just the way like her head is and stuff, where it has a crown on it, like all of it just amazing.
It's so hard to believe. Like the prototype of this was like trash bags. Did you ever see that? Have you ever seen that behind the scenes stuff?
They had what, like a trash bag composite to like act against, or like just to get an idea of scale or something.
Well, like when they were first testing out like how it was gonna work, they're out like they're like on the street or something, and there's like a bunch of dudes, and they're like it's like a trash bag, like big old trash bags, and they're trying to like to get the movements and stuff to see how is it actually gonna work because they have like essentially I can't remember they have a whole team of people like running this thing.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah. Whenever you could even kind of see in the net, you could sort of see sort of mechanics. Like it looked like you could see metal piping.
Yeah, that's what really and that really harkens back to that Giger stuff, that Giger design.
Yeah, this for sure. Like the close-ups on the face, but like the way its arms are and stuff, that looks all like Starship Troopers bug stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, here we are, the bathed in blue light and her backing away from all those eggs. Like that's an iconically awesome shot.
Like this part.
Yeah, she kind of like goes back on their deal. Like there's sort of an unwritten agreement that the mother alien is going to let Sigourney and Newt leave as long as she doesn't do anything to the eggs. And then Sigourney's like, "Oh, by the way, I lied." Like, she's like, "I'm not letting all these ride. Forget you guys."
Well, I think it's because that one opens, so she's like, "Oh, so it's like that." Like,
Yeah. Well, like like I said, I think they kind of because when the mother alien starts screeching and you see some of the alien henchmen sort of walk in, and then Sigourney Weaver points the the flamethrower at the eggs, and then she kind of screeches again, and everybody sort of backs off, like let her leave, and then that one opens up a little bit, and she's just like fuck this, and just starts blasting everything. The way you see the bugs suffer and all that, like that looks so wild, amazing. That was a janky rear projection, but other than that, that was good.
Well, see, that's the other thing. Again, going back to what I was saying earlier, is like she was shooting all the eggs. Why didn't she just shoot the queen?
I have trouble understanding the queen's physiology. I guess it's what, like a regular like female alien, kind of like a queen bee or whatever. But then there's some sort of extra like build to her, because later on when she's
Mhm.
on the fighting,
Well,
when
she's
there
pulling.
you can see her detached from like her whatever egg laying sac thing.
Mhm.
And there she she kind of goes back to being just a really big version of a normal xenomorph, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm. She is like a massive, massive version of it. I mean,
Yeah, with the big head and all that. But
mhm.
I'm assuming a lot of this must be based on like insect physiology and stuff, like, the way, like I say, queen bees and hives work and stuff, or maybe a queen ant works or whatever. They probably researched all of that.
Well, I mean, they have that deleted scene or that extra scene where they're kind of talking about it, and then Hudson is like, "Oh, it's like the queen. That's the mama," and he's going like this, like that's And but yeah, it's a really good. I mean, it really doesn't. It gives you some cool information, but I can understand why they cut it from the film. I mean, it's in the
Yeah.
director's cut, so.
Yeah.
And the fact that she caught up with them.
Yeah, she's clearly fast.
See, like here, this is what I'm saying. Like, if she only would have had some extra grenades, you know,
Yeah.
an extra clip. But at that point, she couldn't shoot it because the acid for sure would have like gotten in there, gotten in them, destroyed the elevator.
Well, and you also, like, from a writing standpoint, you got to leave her vulnerable in some way. You can't solve all your problems. You sometimes have to make the characters have make a mistake or forget things here or there. But the
Hmm.
whole thing ultimately is to play with "Let go of her, you bitch." So
I even like this part too, where like she's like, "Oh, I knew I shouldn't have trusted Bishop."
yeah, yeah, I do remember this from the first time I saw it, being like, where she's like, "God damn you!" But he shows up.
Hmm. And then even this part where she's like, because look, she's already like getting ready to. I was like, "Oh well, I'm done with that."
Oh, let me see here. I know, right? And where was the queen alien from the first? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing.
There you got an
Uh,
answer.
technically, this is still the same planet from the first film.
The
So
LV.
yeah, now the argument could be made: is this actually the queen, or is this a new queen? That's the part. Because in the first one, there's the eggs in the ship. Like that's it. Like you don't see anything. So there might be a queen somewhere. She might have died off because there was nobody there, and then one of these people made the queen. That's that's my theory. But I mean, you can make an argument that it's the same queen. She was just in hibernation because there's no people to, make xenomorphs or whatever, or it's just a new queen, and there wasn't one in the first movie.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean,
Well, I think mainly they tried to think of what's the biggest, baddest alien we could come up with, and then James Cameron probably stumbled onto this whole themes of motherhood stuff, and that's where he came up with the idea of like a queen that lays all the eggs and is the mother alien kind of thing. I figured it was probably invented in the writing process more than anywhere else.
oh yeah, for sure.
Are you trying to be a hero, Watkins? No, sir. I'm just killing bugs there. Hey, our buddy Anthony Chabot is here. By the way, he's taking a break from Instagram. You are. You guys going to finish up those memoirs? Um, Anthony is the world's greatest YouTuber on the road to 2K, so you be sure to being part of that. Our friend Professor Macabro, gobble gobble, sir. Greetings and salutations to you. The Predators had the Queen frozen. She was frozen that day. Hey, everyone, I'm back, man. Welcome back. Hey, hello.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back.
Everybody. Yo, hey, Donna Larry. Hey, Brittany. Everybody, high five and hug. And go. So, yeah, just as Brittany. Yeah, so, oh, wait a minute, wrong way. Close enough. And I like this. That's the kind of the false escape. Like we feel like they've escaped the alien and they've gotten off and it's going to be okay. And they get up to the spaceship and they're going to settle down for a long winter's nap and they've survived. And then it starts back up again. You know what I mean? It's talking before about release and tension and release and tension. Like, yeah, we've had a big tension scene and now there's a release. And then we're kind of like, why is this movie still going on? And they're like, oh, there's more tension coming. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Sorry, I fell asleep and took a shower. So back to Echo. Exactly. Hello, Professor.
Yeah, this whole scene right here where it's just like, she's acknowledging him like, and he's like, I did. And then all of a sudden.
Yeah, like there's that moment of she accepts him as her friend and then he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You should have learned, Bishop.
And in such a horrific way, like.
Yeah. The big stab and lift up thing.
Yeah,
and then, but it's a great callback to that first one where he's spitting that milk blood stuff everywhere because but he just gets ripped in half. Yeah, completely destroyed. And this queen alien, this is just made for a toy. Like it's so big and cool. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, NECA made one. Even Kenner made one back in the day, which I never was able to pick up. I never found it.
Well, yeah, especially like, yeah, if you have a regular sized action figure and you have it against this giant, like as big as a T-Rex kind of thing, it's humongous with the legs and the tail and all that.
Well, the NECA one it's massive, man.
Yeah. Well, you can judge the two of these aren't that close to each other where you can judge their scale, but you can kind of judge by like the doors and some of the other things that, the queen alien is like, I don't know, 10 times the size of Sigourney Weaver or whatever. She has to go put the lifter suit on, the mech suit, so she can even compete with it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time Ripley feels she is safe, and then shit hits the fan. That lady is jinxed, right? How long you got left in this movie? Good question, man. There is
9 minutes.
9 minutes and 5 seconds. So, yeah, we're wrapping up. We're watching Ripley defeat the Queen and then put her and Newt to bed, and we can put Larry to bed. He's watching Relic Hunter.
Nice.
Yeah. World's worst bukkake. Ew, attaboy, Professor. That's what we needed you here for. He's also watching Reacher. So he's watching Relic Hunter and Reacher and us watch Aliens.
Wow.
Anthony Chabot gets it done. That needs to be a show on like Discovery or something. Anthony Chabot gets it done. Get away from her, you bitch. That's awesome. And then just the way they shoot her low angle with the power suit. Like she looks so strong and powerful with the light behind her and everything.
Oh.
Robot jocks.
Right.
And then I remember when I saw the Matrix sequels, and then they had those like basically these mech suits except with machine guns on them. That was like my first thought. I was like, you guys just stole this straight up from Aliens, huh? No shame whatsoever. Yeah, the tail for the Queen is extra we're used to the face getting close and the little extra mouth head coming out of the mouth, but that wild tail, that's extra business. It's like a scorpion or something.
Mm-hmm. But then that impact, the sound of this like film is also really good.
Oh yeah, the sound design is excellent. That's one of the reasons I think it's so great is because it's an alien like action movie, but it looks great, it sounds great. It's like such a big, huge production. Um, it's one of the few 10 out of 10s I've ever given on IMDb. I think I've less than 150 movies I've ever rated a 10, and this is one of them.
Yeah, because I mean, even like the minor stuff that I pointed out, like the logic. I mean, that doesn't deter me from like this is a 10 out of 10. This is a masterpiece. Like,
Yeah, I would say, yeah, this is my favorite Aliens movie. Um, Alien is a close second, and then I don't know, probably Prometheus and this one are pretty damn close, or Part 3 are pretty close. But like I said, I like David Fincher a lot, so it's hard for me to judge that one fairly anymore.
I don't know. I think for me, it would definitely be this one, the original, and then Alien 3.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much the same as me.
And then Prometheus.
Yeah, I was going to say I get Prometheus and Covenant confused. Covenant was the first one, right? And then Prometheus was the second one, or is it the other way around?
The other way around.
Okay, so Prometheus is the first one, and then the Covenant is the one where
Danny McBride.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. So I guess I liked both of those fair enough. I liked them both more than Alien Resurrection. But the only thing I didn't like about Resurrection was the literal resurrection. Like Sigourney Weaver dies at the third one and they just bring her back in the fourth one, like, oh yeah, she's alive again. Please don't do that.
Boom. That part used to mess me up, man. I used to think like her foot like was torn off.
Yeah, that her foot went with it too. I thought that the first time I saw it too. I love the alien in space being floating away.
Yeah, it's just like
I like how the logic of like the airlock, she can just hang on to a ladder and, that's all it would take to not be sucked into space. Just hang on real tight.
Mm-hmm.
Science fiction movies gave me the unreal expectation of how often I would be shooting someone out of an airlock. Like I would have thought by this time of my life, I would have done it several times over by now, but no, just hasn't come up.
I mean, going back to Blade Runner, man, we should have had flying cars by now.
Exactly. Man says Larry's gonna have to get his beauty sleep. She knows he's a working man. You got to get up. He gets up usually sometimes around my streams are ending on most nights. So Echo says he needs Echo says he needs a NECA figure, and Mayan says clowns don't really get NECA figures. In a fight between animatronics, not the characters, just the actual real-life animatronics on a Rock'em Sock'em robot. Who wins, Queen Alien or Trex from Jurassic Park, the T-Rex? I'm going Queen Alien because of acid blood, but the T-Rex appears to be faster. Like, isn't he kind of a slightly more agile? Although this alien was moving pretty quick too. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you also got the tail. I feel like the tail is a factor too. She can use it.
That scorpion tail thing that I'm impressed by.
I mean, I would imagine she can grab the T-Rex. The T-Rex, what is he going to do? Like,
and if she gets a chance to lay eggs, then the face huggers can attack the T-Rex too. So yeah, there's a lot going on there. This is sort of like they made this for a trilogy, like the way this ends, where they're getting into the cryo tubes, and we see them like going to sleep for whatever the next adventure when they're found again. Like that's why one of the reasons in Alien 3 I think people get mad is they almost like undercut this scene in this one, like when spoiler alert, the Newton Hicks don't make it when they show up in Alien 3. And, it's like they went to all this trouble to save them and to sort of like start this relationship. And then Alien 3 just comes and cuts that out immediately.
No.
Nobody here is going to be happy, damn it. Brittany says the T-Rex would sure win. She loves the T-Rex. So we've got 1 for T-Rex. We've got 2 for Alien. Be sure to put in the comments below or the in the chat who you think would win, the T-Rex or the Aliens. Man's already got the Chucky toys for NECA. The FBI's on the way, man. Get all your Chucky things and Mustard away. Mustard Ann. Not her mustard. Oh, my God. Yes, the mustard. Colonel Mustard? What did Ripley do to piss off God so much that she gets all the shit thrown her way? Yeah, she definitely made somebody in some level upset.
Yeah, for sure.
One of my favorite games is when a movie wraps up on one of these streaming services, what else do they recommend with it? Max recommends after watching Aliens that you check out Leviathan with Peter Weller. Good choice. It's almost the damn same movie except underwater. Predators, the third Predator movie, right? Is that what it is? Third, I think.
Yes.
Yes. And then the original RoboCop, Escape from L.A., Species, Dune 84, and Hunt for Red October. So as I said, the radar blip stuff feels like submarine movie stuff. So
well, it's interesting. Like after Hunt for Red October, I see From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, War Games, is that
War
on there
Games,
for you? I think From Dusk Till Dawn is probably because they go into a place that's infested by stuff. But I can't make War Games. War Games is what, just the year it was released? Here, if you like other stuff from the mid-'80s, you might like this too.
Oh, they even have Wrath of Khan on here, The Ghost in the Darkness, Red Dawn, Dawn, Dracula 2000.
Taking it back to Peter Weller and RoboCop, it's all connected. The professor understands how these things tie together. But it's almost approaching 10:30, and our friend Larry has to get going. I appreciate him for joining us. I appreciate all of you joining us tonight. Like I said, Larry and I have been doing, we did the first 2 Predators movies, so now we wanted to make sure we got it in an Aliens movie so we can build to an exciting Predators versus Aliens climax at some point. Otherwise, I thank so many of you for dropping in. I bunch of old faces, new faces, Mayanne and Sean dropped in. Reminder, when you leave here, the Hatchet Boys are probably finishing up watching Demons 2 at this point with Sean over there. So I recommend you pop in there. Otherwise, be sure to keep an eye on my channel off and on over the next few nights. I still have a few left on my comfort food series, so we'll be getting to those. And then for sure, make sure you tune in to my channel next Friday at 5:30 or 6 for Into House, featuring me and your boy Larry there. Weekly wrap-up show where we just sort of catch up with each other and have a conversation about whatever fancies us. So it's been doing surprisingly well. Folks everywhere seem to be enjoying Into House. So
yeah, it's awesome.
I thank you for joining me Into House tonight, Larry. You're the man.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure, brother.
Sorry, give me the high five. Give me the high five. There we go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And Mr. Bones drops in just as we're getting ready to take off. Our buddy Bones, the hero to the community. So, yes, we all thank you so much for joining us tonight and joining the aliens and or the predators involved. And I wish all of you out there watching a green grass and high tide.